Welcome to the From Concealment Podcast, the show for firearm enthusiasts who like to shoot, train, carry, and compete. Get ready for some shooting and sight, firearm and accessory reviews, and of course, insight on concealed carry. And now, broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the From Concealment studio, it's Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams.
Hey, Freedom Nation, this is Pete Mitchell.
And I'm pissed off.
We got pissed off Dan.
I'm mad today, man. Yeah,
so
I am mad.
Prior to us kicking off the podcast, man, you were going down a bunch of rabbit holes. So let's go back through those.
Catch up.
Yeah.
So lots of rabbit holes. So first of all, like I've got family that's Marines. I have a cousin that was he's been out for a while, so he wasn't in danger, but who was in the same unit that where this happened. Like he didn't know anybody. He's been gone so long, but like, you know, it's like seeing your unit's number and like that's heavy. Got guy in our church been having rough times, Marine. I would say all of us civilians are having a hard time after the bombing in Kabul. I can only imagine how vets are feeling, especially Marines. And so one of the guys, the Navy corpsman that died, is from Sandusky, which is just down the road from us. So me and a couple of other guys went to a prayer vigil they had out that way last night. Great turnout at that. But we're feeling some heaviness here. And so you can imagine the conversations that I'm having with friends in the military, especially Marines. And they're all just shaking their heads. They're saying things like, I hear two things. One thing is they'll say, like, this is just so asinine. Like they can't comprehend how we screwed this whole Afghanistan thing up so much. They're like, the idea of giving up a strategic air base and then trying to evacuate, even the most basic, like you don't have to have a military mind to know that that's terrible. Like that's the most ridiculous. You would never do that. And so there's this little hint I keep hearing, and sometimes they don't even hint at it, that they're like, something about this feels on purpose. Now, we don't know people's intentions. It could be that Biden is really just that much of a senile mess. But there
are military leaders, though. There's the Joint Chiefs. There's everybody else.
So check out some of this. So there was an article came out yesterday, last night, Babylon B. So there's intelligence stuff coming out right now. We pretty much just gave up Kabul. Apparently, like it looks like the Taliban was rolling in and realizing, hey, we're not meeting any resistance. And so there was some communication with intelligence where it was like, hey, we could, let's not have some bloodshed or whatever. We just screwed the whole thing up and gave it over to them. But check this out. And this is to your point here. One of our 4-star generals, Mackenzie, who was one of the key players in this, recognized like, this is total screw up. What are we doing? Like, this is insane, but still followed orders. And I don't know how to say that without saying like an idiot at the end of it. He knew that this was going to screw everything up. And admittedly, he was following orders. Mackenzie, 4-star general, could have and should have probably said to the commander in chief to go screw yourself. And he followed the orders. And we've had.
I don't think we want the military telling the commander in chief to go screw himself. There's a reason we have a civilian oversight of the military.
So this is what I would say. I agree in principle for the function of our government when we have a legitimate president functioning as a president is supposed to. But at any level, when you have something like this going on where evil is being ordered and stuff like this is just getting screwed up beyond all recognition, we need military people to be able to say, no, sir, we're not going to do that. Like that's absolutely like getting people killed. We're just not going to do it. You need to have people willing to defy orders. This is doctrine of the lesser magistrate, which I've gone on.
I don't. While I agree in principle, the problem is then everyone becomes, oh, well, they're just doing an evil choice and I'm not going to follow that order. Like, there's a reason why you don't really get to question orders unless it's an illegal order, like a flat out illegal order. But this wasn't a flat out illegal order. It was
maybe not
incredibly
illegal.
stupid, 100%. But I'm just saying we got to be very cautious about disobeying, because there's a reason we have civilian oversight. Now, we don't want this civilian oversight. This civilian oversight is senile. This civilian oversight is whatever you put in front of me. If I'm not asleep or eating my ice cream, I will sign, do whatever you tell me to do. But there's a reason we want civilian oversight. Just we actually want the oversight.
I agree in principle. I actually think this might be one time where, and admittedly, maybe borderline, but this might have been one time where it would have been legitimate, because it becomes tantamount to murder. So if I know, I don't know, if I know a band of marauders is coming through my town and I have ample weapons to protect my family and everybody else, and I decide that I'm going to just take the weapons and go, or worse, leave the weapons for the marauders, or if maybe I've been told to do that, I'm still like, it's tantamount to murder for me to leave them in.
Yeah, but that's not tantamount to murder. It's not.
I think it is. I would actually totally say, like, because I have a job to protect my people. We had American citizens there.
I understand.
We had American military.
They should have at the very least blown up the weapons. If you can't take them with you.
Yeah.
I mean, they got enough armament there. Just blow them up. Blow up as much as you can.
I would be totally fine with that. I mean,
don't give the enemy all of that weapon. Man, I want some of those. I want a Humvee. I want an M4. I want the good stuff.
I want it all, man.
Now the Taliban's got it and I don't. I'm kind of upset about that.
I'm kind of upset. I'm beyond upset, man. Were you following? Have you heard about this Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller? Familiar with this guy? So Stuart Scheller, Lieutenant Colonel. So like, that's something. That's not major military brass.
He's a light colonel.
Yeah.
As they like to call him.
Yeah. So he posted a video. I mean, it's only been like 4 days ago. Things move so fast, right? Posted a video, him in his uniform. And he's just like, we got people getting fired for a whole lot of stuff. So like, for a whole lot less than this level of screw up. So he's like, we need answers. Like, we need to know what the heck happened. Like, this is owed to the American people and especially to our military. Like, what the heck happened? And so he posted this video and he's like, I'm calling for answers. Like, is essentially like, somebody needs to answer for what happened. Like, and if it's, hey, this is a big screw up and here's how we messed it up, that's fine. But like, you don't screw up on this level without having to answer for it. So this is a recurring theme, by the way, in my, the Marines I'm talking to and everybody else. The theme is like, somebody needs to explain what happened. If this was just a big screw up, this really sucks, but we'll take that. The fact that there's been absolute silence about it makes it look all the more sinister. And so this Lieutenant Colonel Scheller posted that video, and he acknowledged, he's like, I don't know what's going to happen. He's like, but I'm just, so you guys know, he's like, I'm risking my retirement. I'm risking my well-being here to just ask this question. Video went viral. He got relieved of duty almost immediately. Relieved of duty. So now he's posted another video to say, I'm resigning, because he was relieved of duty, but no action had been taken against him beyond that. So he's like, I could still probably live out, get paid, take my retirement. He's like, I'm resigning and I'm giving up my retirement because this has to be dealt with. And so, man, he's going at it. So if you guys get the chance, follow Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller. This dude just gave up his livelihood in the military because he wants answers for this. And he thinks somebody needs to answer for it. And I think he's right. He's pissed. Not asking for money, by the way. He said, I don't know what my wife is going to do. He's like, she's been with me so far. He's like, I mean, in the video, he's like, honey, you do what you need to do. He's like, if anybody wants to give money, give it to the people who have died, and or who's like, if you want to send it to my wife directly to her, that's fine too, because I'm going to lose my income as of right now. And he gives his resignation. People are pissed, man, and rightly so. So anyway, that's first order of business, like if you guys do get the chance to check out the Not the Bee article, it's the Taliban did not take over Kabul on August 15th. We gave it to them. And I really wish I were exaggerating. Read this. And then they kind of give a very quick point by point, little bit of information from Secretary of State, some other key players about just kind of very rough kind of chronology of what went down. And yeah, we basically just gave them up, and the bureaucrats let it happen. So,
well, I should also mention, if you haven't put that in the Telegram chat group, go ahead and put it in there, because we now have a feature in that in the group where you can leave comments, so we can all kind of comment back and forth on it. And that was just something that we added. If you want to get added to that Telegram chat group, text the keyword hero to 850-990-2020, 850-990-2020. Again, keyword hero. And that'll walk you through getting you all into the Telegram chat group on that.
Yeah. So if you remember the number and you can't remember, man, what is it? What's the word that I have to type? What is it, man? What was it? You just think
I should have made it something like Biden sucks.
We should have. Would have been even more fun. I'm putting this this link in the chat right now in case anybody. It just hit me, man. People could, since Zuckbook blocks us from a whole lot of stuff, people could be making comments live in here as well. So good stuff. So anyway, that was the first thing on my mind. I am just still mad. Like, I mean, that's just the honest truth. I'm angry on a level I can't say I haven't been in a while, but it's a new thing. It's a new thing for me to be there and hear a man's sister, kid who couldn't even buy beer, his sister talk about the kind of guy he was and the price he paid. And man, it sucks.
Yeah.
I am not happy about, I mean, that's the life that could have been spared just from some basic strategic movements. Like plain basic stuff.
So what have you heard about Glenn Beck and what he's doing?
Yeah. So two things going on that, as I understand, are somewhat connected. So a lot of people know about the Nazarene Fund. Are you familiar with the Nazarene Fund?
Only from what you mentioned.
So Nazarene Fund is Glenn Beck's kind of financial clearinghouse. And I know a lot of the money from that, as I'd understand, goes to Operation Underground Railroad, that they do legit, pulling kids out of trafficking. I mean, the whole kick in doors, find bad guys, help with the prosecution of them, get kids out of sex slavery. And that's my understanding. When I would associate Nazarene Fund, I would normally associate with Operation Underground Railroad. And I think that's still a big piece of it. But we knew Glenn Beck was talking about money through the Nazarene Fund, and there's other people doing legitimate, funding of some of these operations. But we know Nazarene Fund was one of them, doing some work to get Christians, and as I understand, Afghan allies out of Afghanistan, and so they were running operations. A lot of recently retired, as I understand, special forces operatives, people who knew people, you worked with this guy who did your translating, and now you're retired and that guy's over there. So this was a privately funded operation. The last I heard it called was Pineapple Express, which I thought was fun. Right. And some of the articles,
there's a movie, Pineapple Express, right?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I know. I am more than confident that was factored into the naming of that.
I figured it was when I heard it.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. So we had some special forces guys. This is a privately funded, rescue operation. And my understanding is Pineapple Express was either partially funded. Don't hold me to this, but there was some relationship between Nazarene Fund and what Glenn Beck was doing and these guys. So either it was funded by, or some of the people that Pineapple Express got out were helped to get the rest of the way out of the country. My understanding is there was some connection. So I don't know how strong the connection was, but really an exciting thing. Some lives were saved. Now, what's taking my anger to a new level is here we had privately funded guys who pulled off this mission against the wishes of the State Department, by the way. They essentially had to tell our guys who should be making this happen already. We had to tell our guys in the United States government to basically screw off, because we're going to save these people. Our guys are civilians at this point, retired special ops guys, pulled this thing off. And now we just listened. There was an interview with Glenn Beck where he's like, okay, so we got these people out of danger. Our State Department has blocked us from bringing them back to the U.S. But not just that, our State Department has called other countries where they were going to take the people and has essentially tried to block them from going there too. So this is where my anger goes to a new level. I'm like, you screwed up the pullout of Afghanistan in a way that seems too terrible to be an accident. If it's an accident, it is the worst military flub up I've ever heard of, right? If it's on purpose, there's a sinister thing behind it. I'm with you that I don't know what the purpose of it would be if it was on purpose. But it's just so awful. It's just hard to imagine. Like, that's just where I'm at. Like, either you screwed up to some immense level and it's so bad that it seems on purpose, or you did it on purpose. And I'm starting to wonder which one is even worse. So
I would honestly say, I think they just screwed up at that level. I think their arrogance and their, it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
We're leaving it all over to the Afghans. They're going to fight back the Taliban. I think the arrogance, I
get that. Here's what makes it harder for me to believe that, though. Why in the hell would our State Department keep these people who've been rescued, our allies, that our own brothers, our own people risk their lives to save? Why would they not welcome them into our country and say, thanks for backing us up, glad we got you out of there? Or at the very least, why are they going even the next level to block them from finding safety in another country? That's insanity.
If that's happening.
I mean, that's pretty credible. I mean, we're talking about, like, okay, I know it's Fox News, but you've got Glenn Beck on there. Other people are reporting on it. And all we can do is trust that they're saying, like, hey, we're the ones negotiating this deal with the State Department, and they're blocking us at every level. Maybe they're exaggerating, but it's hard for me not to believe it. I mean, I think that's where I'm at. I'm at a place where I'm just so pissed off about the whole thing that I'm going to have a hard time believing anything good about our current administration.
I don't know that I would say that. I don't know about the blocking thing. Do I believe our administration is that incompetent? Absolutely. I believe that no matter who was in charge.
Yeah.
we got idiots running the asylum. I mean, that's hands down been that way for really since probably, at least Clinton, but even Reagan screwed us with the automatic weapons and whatnot. But
yeah.
And then of course you had Carter, who was just an idiot and still an idiot to this day. Ford. Yeah. He keeps going back, right? Like, we just keep going back. It's whoever is the most evil person can finally win that office. Like, you got to be pretty evil in order to become the president, unfortunately. But I just don't know that. I don't know that I can believe everything coming out of either side. And I agree with you that this was incredibly screwed up. There's no doubt about it. Why would you turn your back on your allies, the guys who have been with you? We've been making them do all of the fighting. We backed them up. That was what we've been doing for the last several years. Is we just back them up and make them go out there and do it. And they were the ones that were out there fighting and dying and having to come up, pay for their own ammo, pay for their own everything. Oftentimes not getting paid. It's been a mess, right? Just an absolute mess. So I don't know, man.
So here's what I want to know, though. I agree with you on the whole mess thing. Somebody was making money because we've been spending however many $1 million a year over there. So supposedly one of the last things, this is again, check out some of the articles here. Not the Bee is basically quoting stuff from State Department releases, other intelligence briefings that have been released. Most of this is, they're like, here's a block quote from what they said. But the Afghan then president, is it Ghani? Am I saying his name right?
Did you ever see War Dogs?
Yes, it's great. It was a blast. I love that movie.
But that was based on a true story.
Yeah, dudes actually did that kind of stuff. I think it's awesome.
But I mean, what you were just saying. Somebody's making money here. Yeah.
Somebody's making money. Well, supposedly, my understanding is the Afghan government, right before they fled, what they were working on was digitizing salary structures for the government employees. So, like, as the Taliban is on their way, they're still finding a way to make sure that they get paid. Like, they knew the Taliban was knocking on the door. They were planning to get the heck out of Dodge. Their focus is not let's fortify, let's make sure everybody has what they need to fight. It was let's move this money around so we can make sure we still get paid when all this goes down. I think that tells us everything about.
And that's typical politicians.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly right. Well, and of course, no better. Our president, even worse, arguably, takes his vacation when all this is going down. I'm just so mad. Like I can't not be mad about it. That's just where I'm at right now. I want to see justice, man. Like I want to see tyrants come to justice right now. Like that's just where I'm at. On a whole lot of things. It's just, I'm tired of seeing stuff like this, not to mention all the other wicked stuff of our government is doing. I'm just tired of it. And I want to see something happen. I know that sounds radical, but it is exactly where I'm at right now. So, yeah. So that was that. Oh, I've got happier stuff we could talk about. It's hard to, that stuff's just hard.
It is. And I think it's because it's as if we didn't learn any lessons from Vietnam, you know?
Yeah.
How many people died there? Over the weekend, I happened to watch that movie. I think it's a Rob Reiner movie, Shock and Awe, which is all about the invasion of Iraq and how Knight Ridder was the only conglomerate of newspapers that was basically writing all these articles going, no, this is not true. Everything they're saying is a lie. And the New York Post was coming out and basically just reprinting what Cheney was saying. Just, they got weapons of mass destruction over and over and over again. And finally, they were proven to be right after the fact. After everything had been done, after we'd invaded, they'd finally come. In fact, New York Times came out and apologized. Sorry, all of that reporting we did was all totally wrong. 100% of it. And it was just like two guys, basically. And then Joe Galloway, which I love from We Were Soldiers, if you've ever seen that movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. A good friend of mine, Ronnie Geyer, he was at the Battle of Ai Drang. He was, I can't remember which fire base he was at, but he was like 3 air minutes from the center of all the fighting. And so he's, very, very political today and interesting guy. I really like Ronnie Geyer, but anyway, that's totally off the subject. But my point is that if they want to pull the wool over people's eyes, they've been doing it for so long. They know how to do it. They got it down to a science.
Yeah.
We saw that with Iraq. We see that again with COVID. I mean,
yeah,
they can do whatever they want.
I think we're even past the point. They don't even have to put wool over eyes. Now it's just a matter of we've turned these people into sheep and they're going to do whatever we want them to do, even when the evidence is just to the complete opposite. And I think that's what's maybe troubling me even more is that there was a time
I would say that's the way it's been in politics. Cause I mean, look at who you back. Like you genuinely hate, like for me, I genuinely hate a guy like Trump, who is a sexual predator, should be in jail 100% for sexual assault. And yet what do? Oh, well, he's the only chance we got. He's a Republican. We got to get behind. And then all we do is we get behind these evil people. Yeah. Same thing with Biden. Like, who in their right mind would vote for Biden? Well, everybody who's sitting there going, oh, but we got Biden in. Yeah. And it's like, dude, we've been complaining about this guy for the last 40 years. And now you're finally coming around to, oh, well, maybe he's not that good. It's just, they can say whatever they want. And we go along with it.
Yeah,
you've been doing
exactly
it for
right.
decades.
Well, and people are pulling the strings behind. I mean, I've told you the story of like I knew one of the main guys on the Trump campaign running the Ohio campaign. Right, the guy pretty much in charge of the Ohio campaign used to be a friend of mine. used to be. And during the initial Trump campaign, I was pretty adamant that like, what are you doing? Like, this dude is wicked. And full disclosure, like, certainly prefer him over the alternatives, but like, that's pretty much neither here nor there because I didn't want to vote for any of those people. Right. And I told him, I'm like, what? And I seriously, like, I asked him one time, I'm like, what in person? I'm like, what are you doing? And so this guy's a career politics guy. Like, this is how he makes his money as he's in politics. And he says, well, he's like, yeah, he's interesting. He's like, so I was actually working on the Rand Paul campaign, or he's like, I was promised a job with the Rand Paul campaign. And I'm like, that's a night and day difference. Like, what?
Exactly.
Like, and I'm like, I would have, and I told him, like, I would have supported Rand Paul all day long. Like, I would have, like, man, I would have done a lot to support I'd have given money to the Rand Paul campaign. I might have. I'm like, I would have been down with that, man. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so why aren't you working for Rand Paul? And he's like, oh, well, he's like, so a bunch of us had all these, like, our jobs were promised with the Rand Paul campaign. He's like, not many people know this, but like, somebody embezzled a bunch of money. Something went wrong with the campaign. Like, basically, like, Rand got robbed. And he's like, anyway, we got calls saying we wouldn't be able to have a job because the money was gone. And then the next day we were all offered jobs with the Trump campaign. And I look at him and I'm like, that doesn't seem suspicious to you? Like, and it just didn't, because that's how things are done. Right, and I'm thinking, like, think about back in whatever, for 2014, you had Rand Paul, a pretty conservative Christian, pro-life, wanted to legalize weed for lower taxes, for less, warmongering. And I'm like, we'd have been pulling Democrats over. Like, there was nobody that pro-weed other than him on either side. And I'm like, think about what we could have done with a guy who actually stood for what our actual Republican values are supposed to be, which are
the platform. You hear about it at the convention and that's it.
Right. And so I'm like, what would that have been like? You would have had, the Christians would have gotten out in mass, and admittedly they did under Trump as well.
I don't know. Christians, when you start talking about legalizing weed, all of a sudden Christians go, wait, no, I'm not going to vote for you. So I don't know about that. But
to have a legit, actual pro-life dude,
right? I'm with you 100%. Yeah. I'm for legalizing weed.
My argument is that we could have been pulling from the other side, right? I think we could have legitimately pulled from the other side. And here's the thing, under Trump, what did we get? We had a whole bunch of guys, a whole bunch of Christians that are like, this guy is wicked, but that woman is more wicked. And so I'm going to hold my nose and I'm going to vote for this guy. What if I could have looked at a guy who wasn't a sexual predator, who actually held to Christian values? Like, I'd have been a lot more excited. Oh, and is not a Mormon heretic. Awesome. Like, I could go on any of these things. And I actually think they could have played easily to the, hey, Rand Paul is an actual Christian. I think we could have pulled something great, but people pulled strings. Well, even freaking, I know I'm on a little bit of a rabbit trail, but even like the president of my college at the time, I hope this doesn't get me fired. Of course, he got fired eventually after it took way too long. But like Jerry Falwell Jr., you guys know it's come out. He backed Trump early, right? When everybody was like, what the heck are you doing? There has been, and they say it wasn't a tit for tat kind of thing, but like Trump's lawyer helped cover up some racy pictures that were being released that were tied to Jerry Falwell Jr. And that was right before he, comes out as if he's some kind of evangelical pope and backs Trump.
You know what's so funny about Jerry Falwell Jr.? If it wasn't for his dad, it would be no one. Yeah. And like literally people just go, oh, well, it's Jerry Falwell Jr. Let's go ahead and get behind him. And it's like, no, are you kidding me?
even when that happened, I'm like, for crying out loud, this guy is the president of the school that I went to, that I think very highly of the school. And even I'm like, why is everybody acting like this is some kind of evangelifish pope? Like, what the heck? Like, none of us think that. And it was one of those where, like, it's like the person that's like you've never heard of in music, but famous people talk about him as if everybody knows about it, and they make you feel stupid for not knowing. That's how people were talking about him, as if he's some authority in evangelicalism. I'm like, nobody cares. Like, but they made us care. They made somebody care. And that's the kind of crap that's going down, pulling strings, so that, as we say, then you and I don't get to vote for anybody we actually want to vote for. Tells us everything. Yeah. And now we're in messes like we're in right now.
Yep.
My wife says that I need to spend less time on my phone so that my mind can rest and I won't be angry about this stuff all the time. She's probably right. So I'm doing other things to make me happy, like practice mag switches, which I'm getting better at. So that makes me happy. Actually, so I'm just paying attention to what's going on, and I'm like, I need to make sure I'm ready. I'm a 40-year-old man. I don't have that much energy in me. I'm in reasonable shape, but I'm like, if something goes down, I want to be more ready than I am. So I got up early this morning, threw on my plate carrier, went for a run with my plates on.
Nice.
I did a solid mile running in the plates, and it sucked. I do not recommend it, other than to get yourself in shape. And I definitely feel manly.
You got to start doing pull-ups with your plates on.
I've tried that. It's significantly less pull-ups I can do with plates on than I can without.
Well, of course it is. That's how you get bigger.
Yeah, it's but it's good. I'm telling people, man, do your workouts with plates on. It's needed. It definitely helped. And I think I did the thing where, like, I ran probably a good half a mile, and then would do the thing where I would walk a little bit, run a little bit, walk a little bit, kept my heart rate up, but didn't absolutely die. Because the other thing, man, if you guys have ever tried to, like, do actual sprints, I did some actual sprinting in the plate carrier. The other thing is, like, when you're trying to take deep breaths, like, you feel that thing. It's like, I have a hard time breathing. It's like you're breathing with an elephant in your chest, on your chest. So good workout though this morning. I'm feeling good about that. I think I'm going to make it a habit, hopefully. Doing that, I got those snap caps. I've been practicing mag changes. That's been good, getting better at that. And then Thursday, I've got a buddy of mine who I don't know if he's ever shot a gun in his life. And his exact words to me were like, when it goes down, I don't want to be left out of the militia. And I'm like,
I don't want to be left out of the militia.
I'm like, that's right, son. So he and his family are going to come over, and we're going to practice with some bang sticks. He's going to learn. It's going to be a good time. I'm so proud of him. I love it when somebody looks at me and like, can you teach me more about guns? And I'm like, thought you'd never ask.
What's funny is a very good buddy of mine for years. He came over to my house on Saturday because he needed to borrow some ear protection because he was going shooting. And he goes, the last time I went shooting was when I was a kid in the Philippines with my dad. And he goes, and I shot maybe like 3 rounds. And so his brother-in-law was taking him shooting on Saturday. I guess he came over on Friday to get it. And he's like, just talking about, I'm thinking about, what would I get? Or I'd probably just get a pistol. It's, easier for home defense. And I'm like, well, actually, if you really want the best thing for home defense, I personally go with the AR. That's just my own personal choice there.
Yeah.
Or of course, Clint Smith with the shotgun, his whole thought process on the shotgun. But it was just, it was very encouraging to me to see. And he's a conservative. He just isn't into guns.
Yeah. We keep saying, I keep thinking the final wave of new gun people has happened. And I keep getting surprised. It's like every 3 months, there's like a new wave of people it's finally hitting them, which makes me excited. I'm like, you know what? All right, we got this many. And then I'm looking about how many of us, we got the veterans, we got whatever. I'm like, if it goes down, I think we're ready. And then more people want to join the cause.
Right.
It makes me so happy. But no, so you talk about like the 3 kind of thoughts on home defense. You have your pistol guy, you have your AR guys, which is where you and I are pretty much at. Like, it's hard to beat.
Well, I would say I would prefer an AR, and if I lived in a free state, I would prefer a pistol AR, easier to go around corners, whatnot.
Exactly.
Right. We have no NFA items in California, so it's not like I could even get a short barrel rifle in California. But the downside to an AR where I live is because I've got young kids who are spread out throughout the house. Mm-hmm. I mean, that AR round is not going to get stopped by the drywall. It's just not like the 9mm either, but it's not the same as the AR round. And that does concern me.
That does. One, honestly, this is for me. So all of my family sleeps upstairs. If it was a night invasion and I somehow knew, which is a big if, right? But if I somehow knew that the assailant was still downstairs, that changes it, right? So I can shoot down. I can essentially guard my stairwell and keep anything bad from making it upstairs. Yep. And I've got no worry where that's going. It's going to get caught in my basement, right? Maybe in my refrigerator. I would hate to have to buy a new refrigerator over that, but man, what a story to tell. But if they're upstairs, it's going to probably have to be shotgun, which brings us to that's the third, thought is the Clint Smith talk where he's like, it's like it takes a big clump of guts, just throws them on the floor like a bucket of your innards. And I'm like, man, Clint, I don't know if you guys saw the video of him praying when the word first came out about about the explosion, and there was only like 4 that they knew of that had died, 4 Marines, and he was praying. He actually prayed for them. He's like, Lord, I want to thank you for your gift of your son, Jesus Christ. And then he prays this prayer of comfort. And I'm like, there is something about a dude like him with the voice of gravel praying like that that's actually really comforting, and it was kind of cool.
I didn't know that. I got to check that out.
Yeah, and I don't know where he's at doctrinally. Like, I don't know if he's a faithful Christian or not, but he certainly thanked God for his son Jesus Christ, and it wasn't bad. I'm like, well, this guy might be a really rough around the edges Christian, which is probably what a lot of people would say about me. So, especially after this episode,
right?
No, so anyway, good stuff though. So we got another person getting in on the guns, and so I think we're going to talk him into doing a pistol build, and I'm kind of excited about it. Man,
I love that, man. You just got to love it.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, it's another excuse to shoot too, man. So
I still got to put my 22 conversion kit into one of my ARs.
I want to see how that works.
I do too. I just haven't had time, and I had COVID for a while, so I wasn't doing anything then. Yeah, my poor dog got spayed yesterday. Now she's walking around with a cone of shame.
Oh man,
bless her always heart. Sad when you see a dog with the cone of shame on.
I hate seeing that too. Bless her heart, man.
Anyway,
yeah.
A little side note. None of that has anything to do with anything.
Yeah. I was telling me like, what is you going to have to shoot her? Why does this relate to guns? But
it has nothing
for your dog. Well,
looking at my dog over there.
The show at times, so, hey, so did you get the CMMG conversion kit? Was that your?
I think it was. 22? I think that's the one.
That's the classic one. There's another one out there that
I got it for really one reason.
Training.
All of the assault weapon rules don't apply to 22 LRs in California. About that. So I can put anything I want back on that AR, and then all it is a simple bolt conversion to be back in the game. So that was the real reason why I got it. I just haven't.
I like that.
Haven't had a chance to do anything with it.
Good for you, man. Well, the CMMG one I have seen work really well. My understanding is there's a newer one out. I don't think CMMG makes it, but that the bolt carrier group effectively has another. Almost like what looks like a buffer tube, same kind of concept that goes up against your buffer tube to manage that recoil a little differently. And I'm waiting for somebody to get their hands on one. I've seen it reviewed. It supposedly does well. I don't know anybody that has one yet. I don't even know the name of the company that makes it, but I'm very intrigued because obviously your buffer tube is not really made for your 22. So to put a different kind of thing on there that is designed to absorb that 22 and cycle it out sounds kind of cool to me. So I'm interested. So if anybody gets, that's why I was asking if you got that CMMG or which is
pretty sure that's what it was. I just Literally, it's still in the pack. It's still in the plastic. I haven't even taken it out yet.
Oh man.
So
good for you, man. Get it out and shoot it, man. Just go out late at night, just in the backyard. Maybe nobody will notice.
Yeah, this is California.
Right.
And I'm in a part of California where if they hear gunshots, I guarantee you the helicopters are coming, the cop cars are coming. This isn't Compton here where that's just a part of life. This is a different area. So
good times, man.
Yeah.
Well, I actually was a little weirded out when I was running in my plate carrier and I come in afterwards and Christy's like, did anybody see you? And I'm like, probably, I don't know. Because it probably does look a little shit. Anytime I'm out in that, I am like in the daylight. I'm a little bit like worried about like, is somebody going to
That's why I'm glad mine says rescue across.
Yeah.
You see the rescue, you be like, oh, he must be a good guy. Like that's the whole point of having rescue. Oh, he must be a good guy. Okay.
Nice. Sure. Mine, I probably don't look like a good guy to them. Mine is black. The only patches I have a patch on it that has Psalm 144, where it says, praise be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war, my fingers for battle, subdues people under me. I'm not sure how that would be read by certain ones.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going down here, man. Yeah.
Well, hey, why don't you give Lake Erie their plug?
Yeah. So as I'm giving Lake Erie their plug, I want to mention some of our listeners who are here in the area that have actually been to the gun store might know Truck Bowie. Fun story. I should get Truck on here sometime. Truck's a really great guy. We love him to death. He's actually Vietnamese, came here to the area, got into guns. So he's just a cool guy. We just found out that Truck has been diagnosed with what seems to be a relatively rare form of cancer.
Ooh.
And it's going to be a big road. It's going to be a big fight. So first of all, prayers for Truck. That's TRUC. That's his actual name, not a nickname. Truck Bowie. Could use some prayer, but on September 18th at the Huron Eagles Club, we're actually having a benefit for Truck, gun raffles, all kinds of other things being raffled away. Whether you know Truck and you like him or you don't know Truck, because if you know Truck, you like him. If you don't know Truck and you guys want to even just come out to a cool event, I'm going to be emceeing that event September 18th, Huron Eagles Club. Check it out. Lake Erie Arms is sponsoring all that. They're pretty much putting the thing on. Going to be a great time. Other than that, check out learms.net. Lots of cool stuff going down. Lots more news is coming in the table. But for now, we're just kind of lifting up our buddy Truck.
Cool.
Yeah, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem. That's all we have for today. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
All right, guys. We'll be back next week with another episode. We'll talk to you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the From Concealment Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams. Be sure to tune in next week for more gun talk. Also, check out the From Concealment website for more shooting-related goodness at FromConcealment.com.